Welcome to Video Games and the Blockchain. You're watching Crypto Finder TV. I'm your host, Chris Stead, and we're here to talk about all things blockchaining and gaming and where they intersect. Now, every single week we've got a whole bunch of discussion points to go through of the week that was, and we always start with the biggest news stories, the top 5 news stories of the week in the blockchain gaming space. We're going to get cracking straight away with a big one. This is the news that kind of subtly came into our thread of thought in the last week, which was Apple has banned mining on its iOS devices. Now, this is a major concern for blockchain gaming market because the intention here with Apple is to stop the malware that we're seeing kind of cryptojack a lot of the devices. So what we're seeing is these kind of evil threats kind of come in and they will put in a banner or have a game or something playing, and they're taking some of your CPU power from your phone or your iPad, and they're using that to mine a cryptocurrency in the background, often without your knowledge. They get a little bit of money from that. Obviously, one phone doesn't do much, but if they cryptojack, a couple of thousand, they've got all these things running at once, and that drains the hell out of people's batteries and annoys people. So Apple has changed the terms of their developer guidelines to prevent this or stop apps from putting this into their architecture somewhere so it works in the background. Now, Trend Micro, the big antivirus guys, I read something that said that they had now put cryptojacking as being a bigger threat than ransomware now. I tried to find some data to back that up on their website. I couldn't find it, but I did see some quotes about it. So that shows you how significant cryptojacking has become over the last year or so as the cryptocurrency market has gone up. Now, what the problem here is Apple throwing out the good apples with the bad apples in making this decision? Because on-device mining has been banned, no matter what you like. So, whether you want it or not. So what we'd like to see first is a bit of a screen here. I've got a screen of the exact specifications that Apple has put into their guidelines to talk you through. Joel, are you able to put that up, mate? Right, so as you can see there, we've got the apps may store virtual currency, but only if the developer is enrolled as an organization. So this is probably talking to wallets. No on-device mining allowed, only off-device, such as in the cloud. So what that means is that you can have your cloud, you can have your game mining, but on the cloud, which kind of takes away from the whole point of being decentralized. Apps may facilitate transactions on exchanges that hold that cryptocurrency. So if an exchange has got Bitcoin and they want to use an app to allow you to exchange Bitcoin, you can. Initial coin offerings can only be seen in apps from approved financial institutions. Now, ICO, the approved financial institutions that were listed in the list that I saw were like big banks and things like that. So it's a bit different to what we're used to seeing in the cryptocurrency space. And cryptocurrency cannot be offered for completing tasks such as downloading apps and posting on social. Now, number 5 and number 2 are the big ones here, which gamers should be worried about. Now, on-device mining is the fundamentals to sustaining blockchain, and it's a part of the process. So it keeps things decentralized, it keeps things from being hackable, and it keeps the whole entire thing running. So when we have a lot of games being developed which they run off the blockchain, usually the process of playing that game in some capacity upholds that blockchain, right? So we're seeing a lot of these kind of cool games that we've been talking about on the show over recent weeks are going to be impacted by this. Especially the ones like the one by the Loop Protocol, who is working on proof of skill concept, where the mining process is actually not so much CPU usage, but more the actions in the game actually helping to uphold the blockchain and do the mining. We're also seeing games that run on the blockchain, like the Chimera stuff, where they're running the MMO stuff actually on a blockchain. So that, again, that's kind of been mined as you play. There's a host of new crowdfunding distributors that will surely be affected. And we've seen some games like last couple of weeks, we've spoken about a game called LeBlock, where in the process of mining released blocks that you then use to build your world, sort of Minecraft style. And last week we spoke about exoplanets, which is a really interesting one where you go out in spaceships into the world and try and find planets with resources and mine them, and that act of gameplay is actually also mining. So how are these going to be affected? Has Apple's policy here really taken things backwards? I think that surely the right tactic here is probably to just make everything transparent, so that any user who downloads an app knows exactly what's going on, whether it's an ad that's mining in the background or whether it's a game that needs to mine. Because that is the most forward way, is to allow the user to choose. But this is what Apple's decision is at the moment. It's obviously something that can evolve over time, and definitely a space to watch. If we hear any more news, we'll be sure to let you know on the show. All right, moving through to our second news piece. This is CryptoSpaceX has been announced. Now, We don't know a hell of a lot about this game. It's an open world space game. We don't know the name of the developer. What is with this? All these crypto developers not actually putting their names on the product, so they're just kind of calling themselves the game name. It's like saying we're Call of Duty and here's our game Call of Duty, which is what a lot of these guys in the space are doing. Anyway, from the website, I would judge that they're probably Indian-based mob, just judging by the people who are on the team. Now, what I can tell you about this game is that you go out into space, you find planets, you build bases on planets, you upgrade your spaceship, you've got to loot this stuff called Stardust on the planet's surface, and in looting the Stardust is what you use to upgrade, your bases, upgrade your ships. There's also something in the notes about a cut of the Stardust you get going to whoever controls the star. So maybe there's a star in a system and you've got to try and control the star to get the most payout, I guess, and then people can own individual planets. We've been promised planet-to-planet combat. I don't know how that's going to work, unfortunately. We promised a full storyline here as well. Item ownership, of course, is what we expect from any sort of blockchain game. Full customization options, and we haven't seen any action. That's the biggest problem here. A lot, as we see with most of these games, is there's no action. Unfortunately, the website, most of the dialogue on it is poorly translated or has definitely cultural variances there, which makes it a bit hard to understand exactly what they're trying to do. But we can see that they love Star Wars just by the storyline. So you're a rebellion leader. You've got to build a squadron to take on these evil lords. You're in a galaxy far, far away. When they originally had the setting kind of detailed on their website, it was even precursored with the words "A New Hope," which has since been removed. They're going pretty hard on the Star Wars analogies here, and I think that they're probably going to get in trouble for that somewhere along the line. But anyway, the galaxy is called Fabula, which is kind of hilarious. There's also something called the Vegas Star as well, like some sort of place you can go. There's going to be casino-like mini games, which probably ties into the whole cryptocurrency thing. Again, there's not much details on this other than we know that that's their plan. And there's Explorer rockets, which are things you can kind of fire out into space to find new planets which have a margin of successfulness, which kind of sounds to me like a monetization option in there. Now, they have not released any footage, as I said, but they have partnered with Wax. So Opskins will be selling these kind of in-game collectibles and things that people want to trade between themselves. That's going to be some sort of pull there. The Wax guys have done a video. It doesn't show you any gameplay, but it does show you kind of the designs they're doing for their spaceships and give you a little bit of a taste of the feel. So we're going to roll that now so you can see what it's like. This is GxB. Sorry about that, it's CryptoSpaceX, my bad. All right, now, on to news story number 3. This is a really, really cool one. Chiliz has reached a $65 million investment funding over the last couple of weeks. Now, we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago because it was quite big news when Binance, the massive exchange, like top 3, top 5 exchange in the world, had become one of the major investors in the Chiliz network. And that brought us to our attention. At the time, it was only 27 million invested. That's now jumped to 65 million. That puts us the most invested gaming-related blockchain thing out there. And I'll show you a graph in a sec that shows you who's on that list. Now, it's based in Malta. Bit strange, but anyway, Malta, where it's at. You buy this currency. The whole concept of this thing is to tokenize like audience voting in the eSports arena, right? So you buy they buy these Chiliz, which are kind of the cryptocurrency, and this gives you voting rights during live esports. Allows you to do things like, make your thoughts known on any sort of tactical management decisions that your favorite team is making, whether that's like what skins to use, what tactics to use, formations, players, all of that kind of thing. So it's this way of just bridging the gap between the audience and the live sport in such a way that you can have this interaction, which is very clearly defined. You can't vote more than once because it's all on the blockchain, and you've got to buy the right to be kind of involved, therefore funding the team and the network overall. It's a super cool idea. I like it. I'm just wondering whether or not it can be rigged in any way where you can buy a whole bunch of Chiliz and then go onto the team that you want to lose and make some really bad tactical votes on their behalf. But you'd have to do it en masse, you would think. Now we learned it's launching in Q4 this year, so it's not too far off. Like I said, Binance is a big investor in it. We've also know that the Ethereum co-creator Steven Nereoff is also an investor in it, so it's got huge backing. And we've been waiting for one of these eSports guys to kind of really break out and be this major player, and Chiliz is looking like it could be the one. Now we're going to just show you a graph right now, which shows you a list of the various companies and how they've been funded. This is kind of your top 10. This is provided by Blockchain Gamer, actually did up this little graph. So you can see that's Chiliz logo right at the front end there, and it's significantly above the others. Engine Coin, which is about the fifth one in there, is one that we've covered a lot. We've covered Played Alive as well. Mostly eSports distribution platforms in there. The Abyss is a Russian mob I've spoken about before, but you can see there like the scale of the top 10, how far ahead Chiliz is. So it's like looks about three times as much as the bottom on that list. So big stuff for them. Now, if you managed to miss our little intro to Chiliz a few episodes ago, I'll just play again the short video about what the program does so you can catch up on it. Have a look at this.
This is Max. Max is an esports fan. He just got his hands on 50 Chiliz tokens and wants to put them to good use on the Chiliz platform. After all, the London Royals, his favorite esports crew, used the platform to crowdsource some of their management decisions from their fans. He goes into the Chiliz voice marketplace and exchanges 50 of his Chiliz tokens for 50 voices in the London Royals. It's time for Max to put his manager's hat on now. He's a decision maker for his favorite esports squad, with direct, tokenized voting rights that give him the power to help guide the London Royals as one of the team's many active fan voices. Together, fans vote to decide on things like who the Royals put on their substitute squad, what skins their characters use in-game, and much more. If Max decides to monetize his voices, he can instantly trade them in to the highest bidder in the Chiliz voice marketplace, getting Chiliz tokens in return. From there, Max is free to acquire voices in another team, league, event, or game title, or use his Chiliz to enjoy the platform's many gamer service features, including P2P game battles, leaderboard leagues across various game titles, digital asset trading, social connection tools to meet other like-minded gamers, and more. This is the Chiliz experience, backed by blockchain technology and realized with the passion of fans like you.
All right, I'm really quite excited about our fourth story for the day, which is D-Parc trailer finally been announced. Now, we caught this game about a month or so ago. I just caught our eye because of the detail in its its art, and the story behind it's quite interesting. There's also quite a development team behind it called 8 Circuit Studios. Now they've got quite a lot of veterans on their team, including the president James Mayo, who's been ex-Nintendo, ex-Microsoft, ex-Day One Studios, has been around for a long time. The art director used to work for Sierra. So that tells you how veteran the status is of this crew. And they're a developer that actually has a name, as opposed to some of the other games I've been seeing. So the tagline for this game is Deep Space Survival. It's a multiplayer first-person shooter, although I think it's the shooter element seems to be a bit lower down the order than just being first-person, if you know what I mean. We're promised intense ship-to-ship combat, space travel, a character that lives forever, and choices that actually matter. Now the reason why we've been liking this game is because it's PC and console, so it's a big multi-format title. As I mentioned, the developer team is quite substantial and impressive. There's a software development kit that they're working on for Unreal and also for Unity, and that's going to kind of show you, which basically allows that all the work and all the progress that these guys make, others will be able to stand on their shoulders and proceed. Actually, we've got the roadmap for you in an image here. I'll just get Joel to bring that up so you can take a closer look at where these guys are progressing with their technology. So here we are. Look, Alien Arsenal is a mobile game that I don't think we've spoken about previously. Maybe I'll have a little look at that for the next week's show, but you can see where they're tracking along there. So they've got the API, the SDK coming out in Q1 2019, and the game comes out in Q2. And so they're well upon that journey. It looks like they're going to have a bit of a fundraising in Q3, but the product, as you'll see in a second, we've got a trailer for you. The process is looking good so far. Now, what I'm most interested about is how they're going to deal with the decisions. So they've promised like actual meaningful decisions. Now, they're doing this in a multiplayer game. So does this mean that as a player, so I'll just set the story a little bit for you. So you're kind of this AI character that you create and evolve and level up. It's going to be a unique character, unique to you, you own it, and the impact it has in the universe will be for all time. Right, and you're on this kind of intergalactic spaceship which has broken down somewhere on taking the last remnants of humanity, 100,001 people on this spaceship. You're going across the galaxy to New Eden, halfway along, the ship's going to kaput, you're stuffed, you're sitting there, you're going, I've got to solve this problem for these guys, solve the mystery of why it's happened, and then decide whether or not I'm actually going to take these humans all the way to their new home or not. That's kind of the setup right here. But the promising meaningful decisions. Now, we've seen things like that before in Telltale games, but when you're dealing with a blockchain game, you cannot save and go back. Once you make the decision, it's lodged in the blockchain forever. So there's none of that kind of like, oh, I'll go back and try it a different way thing. It's there forever. Also, what happens with this multiplayer world, are your decisions going to affect the space that everyone else is playing in? You know, because it's kind of a solo sounding story, but if everyone's playing that story at once, is a decision on one also popping up in a decision on another? That's fascinating stuff. I really hope that's the direction they're going with this. The developer has promised a big announcement at the start of July. We don't know what that is. All we know at the moment, as I said, was that it's a Q2 2019 game, PC and consoles. Now, the first trailer for this game has just been released. We're going to show it to you now. Sit back and have a look at D-Parc by 8 Circuit Studios. Looks pretty promising, doesn't it? I'm really quite excited to see a bit more about that game. Hopefully we'll try and get the developer on for an interview. That'd be fun. All right, so now, Loom Network. We spoke a little about these guys last week. Now they've just put their upcoming game, Zombie Battlegrounds, onto Kickstarter. Now what we've seen a lot recently is these kind of initial coin offerings or initial item offerings or your kind of crypto-funded based video games based on the blockchain. These guys are going a more traditional route and taking it to Kickstarter. Now, the Kickstarter has been live for long. They've already knocked up 280k of their 340k asking price, so doing fine. The game's a CCG. It's based around the Magic the Gathering, or kind of branches off from the Magic the Gathering template we know and love for years. The art looks really, really good for this game. Now, when we mentioned Loom Network last week, we were talking about the little system it's building there, where they're going to try and provide a system where developers can build their own blockchain. So it's kind of like a level creator, as I've seen in level creation games, but it's a blockchain creator. So it's like a software development kit to help other indie developers kind of get their game onto blockchains, which is a really neat idea. Zombie Battlegrounds, though, is their kind of first big release that they're going to be using to kind of showcase their tech. The big differentiators that they list as their big differentiators are that the actual rarity of the cards is transparent. This is a huge thing actually for card collecting games. So basically what it means is that as opposed to getting a card and them saying it's rare, you'll be able to get the card and actually look through the blockchain and go, actually, you know what, there's only 10 of these in existence. This thing's actually really rare, which will give these things a genuine value and a genuine power in the game. So you can own these cards for real, of course. It's a blockchain, that's what we love about it. You get to actually own these things, you get to trade these things with other players. The game can never be shut down because it's on a blockchain, so all the time and money that you may invest into this game, won't ever go to waste. It'll only be shut down on you sometime. You're going to build the perfect deck. They're talking about future content. They're talking about adding in solo adventures, which is quite interesting. New cards, new heroes, the typical kind of things that we see in a CCG. As I said, the art looks really impressive. A lot of detail there, and there's a fair bit of gameplay that we can have a look at. What I'm going to show you right now is their pitch for the Kickstarter video. See what you think. Is it worth backing? Find out for yourself.
Hi, I'm James Duffy, and I'm the co-founder of Loom Network. I'm here today to tell you about Zombies Battleground, the first ever digital collectible card game where you truly own the cards you collect, and you're free to buy, sell, and trade them between other players on a massive peer-to-peer marketplace. If you're a fan of... Oh, thank you. Sugar, please, sugar. If you're a fan of CCGs or TCGs, I know you're going to absolutely love Battleground, so I hope you enjoy checking it out. For anyone who grew up in the 90s or 2000s, you can probably relate to skipping school lunch to meet your friends and play card games like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, or Yu-Gi-Oh! There was something nostalgic about those days of trading cards for lunch items to assemble the ultimate collection, and then using that collection to stomp your friends in battle. But somewhere in the transition to digital, these card games lost their spirit. They became money grabs, more about maximizing the company's profits than giving the best player experience. You spend tons of money on new packs, but then you don't really own the cards you get. You can't sell them again, you can't trade them with your friends. If you need that one specific card to complete your deck, there's no way to just get that card from your friend, you have to keep buying these booster packs. With cutting-edge technology that we've developed in-house, we're ready to bring back the spirit of the old-school CCGs with Zombies Battleground. These are my co-founders, Matt and Luke. We're Loom Network, and we're part of Techstars New York class of 2018. And we've been spending the past year working on a revolutionary blockchain technology for online games. Now, I know some of you are thinking, blockchain, and you're sick of hearing how it's gonna cure cancer and solve world hunger. But actually, when it comes to online games, there's some really distinct benefits to using the blockchain that enable things that have never been possible before.
For the first time ever, we're gonna have true ownership of digital in-game items. One of the things that always really frustrated me about being a gamer was that games would get shut down after 5 years and all that hard work that I put into all the items was just thrown away. Or some of my friends were wrongly removed and banned from games and they lost all their items. Now, finally, we're going to actually have true ownership of digital in-game items, just like we have in the analog world, like with baseball cards.
So the cards you earn in Zombies Battlegrounds are going to be yours forever. There's no one who can take them away from you, not even the game developers that created the game. And these cards, you can do anything you want with them. You can sell them, you can trade them, you can disintegrate them and reassemble them. You can do anything you want to assemble the perfect deck.
What's really exciting about blockchain technology is for the first time, we have features that were never available in CCGs before. We have provable scarcity. So when we create a deck of cards, there are only so many of these legendary items. So when you get a really special item, very few people will have it. What's also really exciting is that we're going to have a marketplace where you can buy and sell these legendary items.
Right, and these things have never been possible before. And this is why we think that this will be the future of gaming. We think that in a few years' time, you're going to look back and you're going to think it's really archaic that anyone would have used their precious time or real-life money and traded them for items that you didn't actually 100% own. I mean, you even get to keep them if you get eaten by zombies. And in this Kickstarter, we really want to show gamers and game developers alike really what we think is the future and what's possible with crypto collectible card games.
Hi, I'm Roy Shapira, the game director of Zombie Battlegrounds. I've been in love with trading card games since I was a kid. I designed this game to be much faster paced and a lot more loot. It's really easy to learn and very, very hard to master. There are literally millions of card combinations, deck combinations that you can get, and you can never know who the enemy is going to be. We're designing the coolest, awesomest zombie-themed trade card game, and it's going to be a blast. A lot of cool features are coming in. We're adding PvP, we're adding more adventures, more campaigns, mini story campaigns. It's gonna be really great adventure, and it's basically up to you to help us realize this awesome, awesome dream.
We're a team of over 50 people distributed all over the world in more than 14 different countries, and we've been working around the clock to build the technology that makes games like Zombies Battleground possible. We have an early playable demo, and we've gotten amazing feedback from our alpha testers. Now we're ready to take it to the next level by building out PvP and matchmaking, and expanding asset production to have more cards for the initial release, and building out the marketplace. But we need your help to make this happen. By contributing to our Kickstarter, not only are you helping us make Zombies Battleground as incredible as possible and getting some really sweet rewards for being an early backer, but you're also showing us that gamers really care about really owning their in-game assets, and this is the future of online gaming. We appreciate you taking the time to consider funding our Kickstarter, and please share this link with all your friends to help spread the word. Thank you.
Welcome back to Video Games and the Blockchain on Crypto Finder TV. I've been joined in the studio by Brody Fogg, who is our resident gaming expert and tech and telco guy here at Finder.com. And mate, first up, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a game called Paladins on Nintendo Switch. Have
yeah,
you heard of this?
yeah, I have.
Yeah, so it's a hero-based shooter.
Overwatchy.
Very Overwatchy.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say it's a blatant Overwatch rip-off. The character powers are all completely like torn from Overwatch. They're like, character models are just slightly different. That said, it's a lot of fun, and we don't have Overwatch on Nintendo Switch, so it's the best that we've got so far.
Yeah.
It does separate itself like a little bit. It's got a deck building side of it as well, so you can like buff your characters with like cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From Hi-Res Studios, who also like make the really, really popular Smite.
Yep.
So it's like 25 million players were in the beta, and in 2000
For Paladins.
Yeah.
Far out.
2016, it was I think the most played game on Steam.
That's more than Call of Duty.
Yeah, insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fun, especially on the Switch, and it handles like no problem. I was thinking, especially with a shooter on those tiny little Joy-Cons, I'd be struggling, but I'm loving it.
Right. Well, I've finally played Fortnite.
Hey!
Yeah, so I've been Fortnite came out on Switch.
Yep.
I didn't play on Switch, but it was enough for me to go, hey, I've got to try this game. So I put it on the PC, had a bit of a play around, built some stairs to nowhere.
Perfect.
Won my first ever game.
Really?
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, got to end up in a squad with some pommy bloke, and he knew what he was doing. He was like, you do this, went all the way through. And had a fair bit of fun. And again, plays really, really well. Like there's lots of personality and character in the game. I can see why people are loving it. Like the numbers behind the game are just ridiculous.
I know.
Fortnite, yeah.
Well, you got one up on me. I've been playing for a few months now and still haven't won the match.
There you go.
It's interesting with both games actually, Paladins and Fortnite. With coming to Switch, they both play cross-platform with Xbox.
Yep.
So, the only one out of this kind of race now is Sony, who are just being like so stubborn and refusing to kind of join the party.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Like, why do it? Like, you've already got 80 million consoles install base. Like, why take the biggest game going around at the moment and be a bit finicky with it? But anyway,
they've copped a lot of flack post E3.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, maybe they'll do a VR version in a month or something, and we'll go, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
All right. We haven't had a chance to catch up since E3. So, what was your vibe on the show? Have you got any data for us? How do you?
Yeah. So we actually we did a lot of kind of post-show analysis after E3, just looking at kind of as like we do every year. We look at all the games that were shown and like compare year on year, compare like who. Which publishers had the most games or the most gameplay, for example. So I've got a few interesting little stats here, which you can find at finder.com.au/gaming, plug. So there was 162 games all up, and of that, 67 games shown were new IP, which is a pretty big increase from last year, which was only 46 new IP. It's just interesting to me because, the kind of, not just with E3, but the stigma is, everything's a remake or a remaster, or a sequel. Whereas...
Well, this late into a console generation as well, to have another 20 new IP coming in with this far in is pretty huge.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So that was from every publisher, and that really stuck out for me with some of the new indies as well. Like EA had a pretty average show, but that Sea of Solitude was
amazing. Looks
amazing,
yeah. On the back of Faye and Unravel. Yeah, they're doing some pretty interesting stuff over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it funny that out of the whole entire EA thing, that's the one that caught your mind? It's the one that caught me as well. Like Anthem, for example, was like the big showcase, and that, but I was like,
I think
was it a bit Titanfall? It was a bit it's kind of felt like I was walking over ground I'd been before, and then that kind of came out like all these indie games, mate. They just blow you away.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe I can't see it actually happening, but to be honest, I think they've got to move their sports games out of E3. Did you see the reactions to FIFA? It was one of the cringiest moments of E3 when they announced 19 and that it would be, playable in the beta and pause for applause, and there was just crickets. So,
I mean, every single time I've gone to an EA press conference, I've sat there and gone, I know at some point they're going to talk about Madden for a chunk of time, and I'm going to be bored like the rest of the international audience, and same with NBA for the most part. But maybe they do need to mix up a little bit. So, out of the show, what was your kind of highlight? Did you have anything you walked away from it? You were like, that's the game I want to play most this year, or?
Look, again, I know I just said it because that's on my mind, but Sea of Solitude is. I just love that an indie can get that much kind of, that
screen time.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of exposure, and it's nice that they get the indie developer on stage to talk about it. She was so enthusiastic and obviously so passionate about the game, and that is probably the game I'm most excited to play. But of course, Beyond Good and Evil 2, I can't resist the hype for that. There's I loved Beyond Good and Evil 1 so much, so I'm and this is going to be a totally different game, but I'm so keen for
that. Did they actually do a release date for that?
No. No. Look, it's still a way off. They showed a trailer and some kind of they've got this initiative where people contribute to the art and music of the world. So using Joseph Gordon-Levitt's platform, which is
well, for me, I still want to play Red Dead 2, which wasn't at E3. But I thought, I mentioned this on the show a couple of weeks ago, I was just really happy to see Microsoft's press conference be a quality view.
Definitely.
And plenty to look forward to for a platform that's clearly been the struggling out of the three over the last couple of years. And I thought, for the first time in a few years, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Xbox is going to release over the next year and a half, and the new studios and everything. So a good E3 for them.
Sorry, just some numbers there actually from research. There was all up, Microsoft showed 50 games. That's including all their indies and stuff that they might flash up on the screen for 2 seconds.
15 of those.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was an increase on last year, obviously, because last year was all about the Xbox One X. And more interesting is the fact that Sony actually showed off 60% less games than last year. So there's a 60% decrease in games shown for Sony, and
Right.
you can.
We have seen Sony kind of start moving a bit more towards the Gamescom and also doing the PlayStation experience.
Yes.
So, reality is we already knew a lot about the upcoming PlayStation games from last year.
Yeah.
Still a lot in the works, so maybe there's more to come in that space.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a lot of disappointment around Sony's conference, but realistically, they might not have shown much new, but they still showed like 3 or 4 of the most exciting games coming out over the next year.
Yep.
Yeah. And last little bit of information there is that 86 games shown at E3 you'll actually be able to play this year.
Ah.
Yeah.
There's different for a change.
Yeah,
Usually
exactly.
at some time in the far distant future or not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I just want to get your opinion on one of the biggest stories that we were covering at the start of today's show, which is the news that Apple has banned the use of or banned any apps on its app store which have any sort of mining on the device, anything that chooses on device. Mate, I'd love to get, as someone who looks after a lot of the phone coverage we have here at Fine.com, like what's your impressions of this move?
I think it makes not a lot of sense, but it's a very Apple move. They like to keep everything very tight, very clean, tidy. So their excuse was that they don't allow apps that drain the battery unnecessarily, running in the background, which of course.
But isn't that your choice as the user?
Yes.
Maybe you want to plug your iPhone in and just have it sitting there, mining some stuff for you, or a particular game,
Yeah, I definitely agree, but I think just kind of my thought is that the people who want that freedom would probably already be an Android user anyway, because Apple is already so locked down in so many other ways that if somebody is looking for that sort of freedom to do what they want with their phone, they're probably already an Android user, or they have a jailbroken iPhone.
So from what I was reading, Android is watching this closely, and I'm probably watching the reaction to this decision. So there's very much a chance that Google Play may follow this same philosophy moving forward. I mean, I wonder, in an environment where we're seeing so many new players come into the space, looking at the blockchain as an option for distributing mobile experiences and PC experiences, whether shutting that down is going to end up hurting the App Store somewhere down the track if what we see as being the future of gaming actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see down the line. Apple iPhone still has like a fair chunk of the market share, so I think most recent stats are around 40% in Australia.
Yeah.
Their 3 flagship phones are second, third, and fourth behind Samsung Galaxy S8. So they're not going anywhere fast, but it'd be interesting to see with these kind of changes. I think most iPhone users are fairly they're the kind of people who are content just having a phone with their music and their photos, whereas people who want more than that obviously go to Android.
So what do you use, Brody?
I use an Android.
I use an iPhone.
Galaxy S8.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Maybe we should swap.
Very interesting news, and I think we're going to be looking very closely to see, what happens with this space over things. So the last thing I wanted to kind of show you is a little bit of a trailer for a very weird game I stumbled on called Tokenimals. It's not Tokenimals, it's Tokenimals. Tokenimals.
Yeah.
So what we know about this is basically it's trying to drive social change by allowing you to collect animals, real life animals, and the investment you put into purchasing these collectible cards, half of it goes to charity, or a certain percentage of it goes to charity, a little snippet goes to the developer, and then some of it goes to whoever sold the card. Onwards down the blockchain.
Right.
That's my understanding of what it does. Have you had a chance to have a look at it? Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, look, the trailer was very emotional, like something you'd see on middle of the day for the WWF organization or something like that. I don't quite understand how the game is going to work.
Yeah, is it actually a game? It's calling itself a game.
Yeah, so I jumped on the website and had a poke around, and it seems more like just a trading card game. I don't think if there's any game elements involved.
Yeah, well, there's no obvious powers on the cards, nothing like that to suggest that there's some way of playing them other than just kind of collecting them and contribute. I guess, I mean, the cool thing, I guess, is it's contributing to charity in a way that's a bit more fun than throwing money into a box somewhere at the train station.
Exactly.
But and theoretically with the blockchain, all that type of stuff, the money can be like directly deposited across to the charities as opposed to going through 50 middlemen who take the junk out of all of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to show you a trailer, but that is all we've got time for on video games and the blockchain this week. Definitely tune in next week. We're going to have heaps to talk about. Brody, thanks heaps for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
And here you go, Tokenimals, the next big thing.